Let's return now to our top story. National leader Simon Bridges has today announced a review into workplace and party practices to ensure that women feel safe in the workplace. Now, this comes in light of the Jami-Lee Ross saga and news that the Botany MP was sectioned over the weekend to a mental health facility. Simon Bridges says he would not have handled anything differently, but has been making tough decisions in difficult circumstances as the party leader. The party President Peter Goodfellow also denies trying to cover up inappropriate behaviour by Jami-Lee Ross. Here's our political editor, Jane Patterson.
Parliament resumed its normal business today, but there was still a sense of shell shock around the place. Allegations flew last week about the conduct of Simon Bridges as leader, and then counter-claims against Mr Ross about bullying and harassing women. He apologised to one of the women for his behaviour towards her and admitted to an affair with another MP. Over the weekend, Mr Ross was admitted to a mental health facility in Auckland. Simon Bridges told reporters today he stands by decisions he's made as leader.
I think that I've done the right thing at every step of this in difficult circumstances. My priority now, of course, is those who've been hurt, including Jami-Lee Ross.
Is there anything you would have done differently in hindsight?
No, I don't believe so. I think we've made the right calls for the right reasons and, as I say, difficult circumstances.
The New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters begs to disagree.
Well, he can claim to have handled things well. He's handled them abysmally.
Simon Bridges says he had no prior knowledge about Mr Ross going into care.
I didn't know about that until after the event. I've been given some second-hand accounts, but look, I wouldn't comment on them because I don't know firsthand.
And was he concerned anyone else from the National Party may have been involved?
No, I'm not. I think that this is a matter for, in a sense, the relevant players and authorities, whether that be in health, whether that be police. They can answer as they see appropriate for those matters.
National Party President Peter Goodfellow has also been under scrutiny. In 2016, he helped broker an agreement between Mr Ross and a woman who'd complained about his behaviour. On his way into the National Party caucus meeting this morning, Mr Goodfellow defended his actions, saying the agreement was never about preventing anyone from speaking out.
We haven't used any NDAs. That matter was a private matter and they wanted confidentiality, so they both agreed that it would be kept confidential. That's the only instance that I'm aware of in my time as president. But we've had an issue like that, and it's certainly the only time that the parties have requested confidentiality.
Peter Goodfellow was also asked why Mr Ross was then allowed to run for selection in 2017 despite the complaint.
It was a matter that was raised by a couple of people and was dealt with, and actually to the satisfaction of the parties. We've seen their comments over the weekend about that.
National is now in damage control mode following Jami-Lee Ross's damaging allegations last week. Simon Bridges says he's going to speak with Parliamentary Service this week and get independent advice on whether more can be done to ensure women working at Parliament and for the party feel safe.
They feel that they can confidently come forward on all matters. And I also want to make sure that we are doing the same in the party in terms of volunteers, candidates, staff.
Another aspect of the story has been how political parties handle donations and whether money plays any part in the selection of party candidates. Mr Goodfellow confirmed one of the people discussed in a phone conversation Mr Ross recorded between himself and Mr Bridges in relation to a donation. Colin Zheng is in National's Candidates College for 2020.
The Candidates College has only just started, so we've set it up for 2020, the class of 2020, and he's only just entered that. We've got sessions that we'll have later this year. So,
how would he be in the Candidates College if it's a relation or his boss had not made a donation of his size?
Well, I've known him for some time. I think he's actually a good potential candidate for us. I encouraged him to enter the college.
There's also been discussion about how to minimise the influence of wealthy donors on the electoral system. Justice Minister Andrew Little says it may be time to take a fresh look at the rules.
I think there's a natural concern about, and there has been for a long time, about the level of transparency, whether our law provides enough protection, enough transparency. I think there is scope for a debate about that, and I suspect we will have one.
The Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says she'd be open to a discussion about whether political parties should be funded by the public.
If I hear from the public that that's something that they want to have that debate around, then by all means, because as I say, I'd rather not having to focus on fundraising and donations to run political campaigns. But at the moment, we're reliant on them for democracy. And so, look, if the public want to have that debate, I'm open to hearing it from them.
Deputy Prime Minister and New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters, not so much.
No, the fact of the matter is, if you haven't got market demand for a political party, why should the taxpayer be propping them up?
As of yesterday, the Speaker had not received any notification that Jamie Lee Ross was being held under the Mental Health Act. Trevor Mallard has asked for advice in the meantime about how to best deal with the situation. The National Party still does have the option of invoking the waka jumping law to force Mr Ross, now an independent MP, out of Parliament altogether. Today, Mr Bridges indicated it is unlikely it would do that, but he says he will take action to make sure women coming to work at Parliament and within the National Party feel safe and know they can speak up. Part of that will be by way of internal review, the results of which are unlikely to be made public. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Jane Patterson.